For our 30th wedding anniversary, we were off to Australia. Our plan was to go via Sydney to catch up with Ali and Max, then on to Alice Springs, hire a car and drive to Uluru. From Alice Springs we would take the famous Ghan train to Adelaide, where we would meet up with Michael and Janet. Ali and Max were living on the North Shore, so in the morning we had a short walk to catch the ferry to sightsee around central Sydney. There was a small display inside the Opera House showing the concept of the iconic roof shell shape coming from segments taken out of a sphere, and pictures of the early construction. The best way to see the inside of the Opera House was to go to a concert. There was a modern classical event that evening. Unfortunately, the music was awful. We should have left at half time, but we thought it might get better. It didn't. Never mind, we got wonderful views at night from the lobby. The next day, Ali and Max dropped us off at the airport. The view from the plane was a sea of red, unchanging all the way. We now know why birds fly upside down over Australia, because it's more interesting that way.
Simpsons Gap. On the way to Ayers Rock, going down the Stewart Highway. Dead straight road.
Doing 130 k's.
Uluru was as magnificent as it was made out to be, a great lump of red sandstone that has emerged as the surrounding land eroded away.
This is inside Uluru looking out. Now we're looking at the surface of Uluru. Looks scaly. This is where the waterfalls come down. Here's a pool at the bottom of a great rock face which goes up and up and up and up and up.
We returned in the early morning to see the sunrise on Uluru, before heading off to see Katachuta and then Kings Canyon. We arrived at Kings Canyon Resort on the day of our anniversary, so it was a good reason to have some luxury surroundings. We had booked a 5-course dinner under the stars, where we were served a different wine with every course. The menu included some special bush tucker delicacies. The next morning we set off on the 4-hour Kings Canyon walk, where you climb up and look out over 300 metre high cliffs into the canyon. Halfway along, we descended down a long flight of stairs into the Garden of Eden and Kings Creek, where we had lunch and a rest in the peaceful surrounds. Then it was off and back up to the rim to look down over the sheer precipice. You could see the tension in Maya as she creeps to the edge. And it was back up the long straight road to Alice Springs, ready for an early start in the morning for a balloon ride. Not too much.
The Ghan railway line. That's where we first hit and skipped and then dragged and then slowly tipped over as we all climbed out. And by luck we happened to land on the Alice Fun Flyers model aeroplane runway.
So there's a series of cables along these poles. They run up, they go through the wicker, go underneath the basket, come back around and come back up to there. So that's in fact all that's holding you up, so those steel cables. You do have them together like that.
Yeah.
And there's 24 of those going around the balloon, around the chute. And that'll hold it in position while it's on the side. Once it comes into the upright position, Charlie will pull one of the ropes and that'll actually pull these Velcros loose. And then after that, all that holds it in position is air pressure.
The Ghan. It's a long train, 44 carriages I think. Leaving Alice Springs. This is the Hall of Fame truck show at Alice Springs.
Oh, there's that truck that we saw yesterday. With the truck on its back.
The old Ghan train.
Good old railway lunch.
Alice Springs, across the Hugh River, and we're now stopped at Caldera, waiting for a freight train to pass.
Early morning on the Ghan, coming into Adelaide.
There's a local house, Lakeview Hall. In fact, a community even. First community we've seen.
Here we are, coming into Adelaide, the morning commuter train. Melbourne Street and the historic cottages over the road. This is the cafe suite in Adelaide. And check out the lock on the door, a real bolt. I'm just getting ready for lunch on Friday after getting some lovely delicious things at Central Market. Glenelg.
They're expensive, but I would love to kind of have I don't know,
A very bold fence. Wine tasting on the way.
It's Michael here, Roger. You're at the Whispering Wall in the Barossa Valley.
And you're about, how many metres away is it?
About 140 metres on the curve.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah?
Bouncing off the wall.
Yeah, well you talk and I'll just zoom in miles away.
Without you shouting,
Yeah,
we can hear you talking quite clearly.
that's, oh yeah, I can hear you perfectly. It's amazing.
Low yielding up.
Kellermeister.
The Barossa Valley.
We'll have the light
Pinot. Said long mix there.
green one. That's most probably for us to drink tomorrow night when we
Here we are in Handel, having the delights. Is it? Oh, Tanunda.